Two children, same age, same classroom, sitting down with the exact same math worksheet. The first one stares at the page, pencil still, shoulders tense, completely shut down inside. The second one is leaning forward, working through it, not because they have to, but wanting to. Most parents watching this would immediately assume the second child is simply smarter or more gifted. But that assumption is wrong, and it is costing millions of children their love of learning daily. The difference between those two children is not talent or discipline, or even how hard they try. The difference is the method that was used to teach them how to think and understand. One education system in the world figured this out earlier and more completely than anyone else. That country is Finland, and what they built does not just improve scores, it changes children completely. Today I will show you exactly what they do differently and how to bring it home tonight. But first, let me describe something that might feel very familiar to you right now. It is 8 in the evening, and the dinner table has become a battlefield no one planned for. Your child is sitting in front of homework that should have taken 15 minutes maximum. It has now been 45 minutes, and neither of you is anywhere close to finishing it. You explain the concept slowly and carefully, watching their face for any sign of understanding. They nod. You feel a small wave of relief. Then they try the next problem and fail completely. So you explain it again, this time louder, this time slower, this time with more patience forced. Now they're frustrated and pulling away. Now you are frustrated and leaning in harder. Somewhere in that room, something invisible breaks, and the homework still sits there unfinished. You wanted to be the calm, encouraging, supportive parent you always imagined yourself being. Instead, you feel like someone forcing a door that was never supposed to be pushed that hard. And the thought creeps in that maybe you are doing something wrong. Or maybe they are. Here is the truth that changes everything you think you know about this situation. There is absolutely nothing wrong with your child, and there never was anything wrong with them. The problem is not the child sitting at that table. The problem is the approach being used. We are asking children to memorize answers before they have ever been allowed to understand anything. We hand them formulas, rules, symbols, and then wonder why nothing seems to actually stick inside. The brain does not store isolated facts well. The brain stores meaning, connection, and experience. Ask any child what 8 times 7 equals, and they will answer 56 without hesitation. Now ask them what 8 times 7 actually means in real life, and watch what happens next. The same child who answered instantly goes completely quiet and cannot find a single word. That is not a learning problem living inside your child. That is a teaching problem from outside. When researchers brought this different approach into classrooms across Europe and North America recently, the results appeared regardless of income level, background, language spoken, or previous academic performance. Schools that adopted this method saw children gain measurable extra progress within a single academic year. Districts serving the most disadvantaged communities reported math proficiency jumping by nearly 30%. Children who had been labeled slow learners started moving faster than anyone expected them to move. The complaints about hating school and hating math did not disappear because the children changed. They disappeared because the method changed, and that distinction matters more than almost anything else. So what is actually at the heart of this approach that makes such a measurable difference? It is built on decades of established cognitive science that most school systems simply ignore completely. The core principle is this: never begin with the abstract when the concrete is available first. Real learning moves through 3 stages in a specific order that the brain actually requires naturally. The first stage is physical. Children must touch, hold, move, and feel the idea with their hands. Understanding that enters through the body first, becomes understanding that the mind can actually hold later. The second stage is visual. Children draw it, map it, sketch it, turn it into something seen. The eyes help organize what the hands have already begun to make real and meaningful inside. Only after both of those stages does introducing numbers, symbols, and formulas make any real sense. Think about learning to swim by reading a textbook chapter on water resistance and body mechanics. The words mean absolutely nothing until your body has already felt what water actually does to you. That is the concrete stage. You need to feel it before any description of it matters. Then watching someone else swim and seeing the technique in motion, that is the visual stage happening. Only after both of those does reading about stroke mechanics help you improve in any meaningful way. With most school subjects, we hand children the textbook first and wonder why they cannot swim. Now I want to walk you through 3 practical pillars you can apply at home starting tonight. Stay with me through pillar 3 because it is the one most parents get completely backwards instinctively. Pillar 1. Understanding must always come before memorization, not after, not alongside, always before. Most of us were taught through repetition first. Times tables, formulas, rules, all memorized before understood. And it worked just well enough on tests to make everyone believe the method was actually working. But a child who recites the right answer without understanding it is standing on sand, not stone. The moment a problem looks slightly different from what they memorized, everything collapses immediately and completely. When a child understands why something works, the memorization that follows becomes almost completely effortless naturally. They are not storing an isolated fact. They are storing a logic that connects to everything else. And when logic connects, anxiety drops, because one unfamiliar problem can no longer destroy their entire foundation. So next time your child is stuck, do not ask them what the answer is right away. Ask them instead what this problem actually means and why the method they are using would work. That single shift in how you ask the question changes everything about what happens in that conversation. Pillar 2. Make the invisible visible by turning every abstract problem into something the eye can follow. Word problems cause a specific kind of stress that most parents have forgotten they ever experienced themselves. Multiple pieces of information stacked in sentences, all asking to be held in mind simultaneously without support. Something in the brain tightens slightly, even for adults, when facing a dense paragraph of numbers and words. Now imagine drawing a simple visual diagram that maps exactly what the problem is actually describing spatially. A bar, a box, a quick sketch. Anything that takes the words and gives them a shape. Suddenly, the same problem that caused confusion becomes something the eye can navigate and the mind can solve. That small, quiet moment of clarity, of finally seeing it, is what genuine confidence is actually built from. Not praise, not reassurance, not being told you are smart by someone who wants you to feel better. Seeing it yourself with your own eyes and your own thinking is what makes a child lean forward. Pillar 3. Productive struggle is not something to fix. It is exactly where real learning lives permanently. This is the pillar that good parents accidentally get wrong because their instincts are working against them here. When your child sits at the table, face tight, pencil hovering, clearly lost and uncomfortable and stuck, every part of you fires at once with one message. Step in, explain it, take the confusion away. So you lean in, you guide them, you walk them straight to the answer as clearly as possible. And it feels right. It looks like exactly what a supportive, present, engaged parent is supposed to do. But here is what is neurologically happening. In that exact moment, you decide to rescue your child. The struggle itself, that discomfort, that friction of reaching for something just beyond current ability right now, that is precisely when the brain is forming new connections and physically rewiring its own structure inside. When you remove the struggle, you remove the neurological event that makes the next problem easier to solve. You give them the answer to this problem and quietly take away their ability to solve the next one. Struggle is not your child falling behind. Struggle is your child's brain actively growing in real time. And the next time a similar problem appears, something different happens that you will immediately notice yourself. They do not freeze. They lean in, because their body remembers having pushed through something like this before. A very real fear comes up here that I want to address directly before you stop watching this. If I do not step in quickly, will my child fall further behind while everyone else moves forward? I understand that fear completely, because every second of watching them struggle feels like lost ground. But here is what becomes visible only later, when you look back at how your child is progressing. A child who genuinely understands something does not just solve one problem. They unlock an entire category. Comprehension does not stay in one place. It spreads, it stacks, it builds forward on its own naturally. So instead of needing help every 2 minutes, they begin moving forward steadily and independently with real confidence. You are not slowing your child down by waiting. You are removing what was slowing them down all along. Here is one concrete thing you can try tonight that takes no preparation and costs nothing at all. I call it the 2-minute pause. And it is simpler than anything else you will ever try. When your child gets stuck and turns to you for help, do not answer them right away at all. Wait 2 full minutes. Keep your face calm and open. Let them sit inside the discomfort briefly. You will feel the urge to speak at 30 seconds. You will feel it again strongly at 60. The silence will feel far more uncomfortable for you than it actually feels for your child right now. But wait, because what you will discover more often than you expect is that they find a way. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not all the way through, but further than you believed they could go alone. And if after 2 full minutes they are genuinely still completely stuck, then you step in carefully, but not with the answer, with one single question. What do you already know for sure about this? That question alone shifts your child from passive and helpless to active and thinking within seconds. And that shift, as small and quiet as it sounds, is exactly what this entire approach is building toward. Your child does not hate learning. They have never hated learning at any point in their life. What they hate is the specific feeling of reaching for something and coming back empty every single time. The feeling of sitting in a room full of people who seem to understand while you feel invisible. They hate feeling permanently lost in a system that keeps moving forward without waiting for them to land. But when things begin to make real sense, felt sense, not just performed sense, something visibly shifts. The child who used to push the worksheet across the table starts asking what the next problem is. The child who said, "I cannot do this," stays at the table 10 minutes after you said they could stop. There is not discipline or compliance or fear of consequences driving them to keep working at the table. That is a child who has discovered something that no grade or trophy could ever actually give them. They have discovered that they are capable, that the answer was reachable, that they could get there themselves. Once a child discovers that about themselves, nothing and no one can ever quietly take it away again.